Basic income is ungodly. Redistribution of wealth is ungodly. Giving money to people who aren't working is ungodly. What that means is when we sent checks to everybody during COVID, it was ungodly.
Yo, like, some needs to tell Jesus to cool it with them loaves and fishes, dog. That's ungodly. Yeah, that is ungodly.
They don't put them fish and bread?
Nah, dude.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ask the Next Question. I'm Joshua.
I'm Colten.
We got a great show for y'all tonight. It's going to be a little different. We got a little different format for y'all tonight, but I think it's going to be good. We're going to have some good conversation. We're going to watch a few video clips that either I or Colten pulled up, and we're going to have some reactions, and we're going to spark some conversations. I think it's going to bring up some things from at least my past. I think it'll do the same for you.
Yeah, probably.
Some of these clips. I was just thinking about it earlier, and I have some history with some of these individuals.
Oh, really?
Not personal history, but just it ties into some of my stories.
They've influenced you.
They've influenced me in ways
influenced groups you were a part of.
Yeah, some good, mostly bad, unfortunately. So,
well,
let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
what do we got on deck?
First, we got Ruslan. So I don't know, how familiar are you with Ruslan?
So I saw Ruslan on YouTube maybe back in, let's say, 2019, 2018, kind of like right during COVID. I don't think he was like very big yet. Yeah. And I found his channel, and I was interested in it because I was curious about like doing YouTube and stuff like that. And he was, a Christian, so he was a Christian rapper. So I think I actually like talked to him like in his chat a couple of times.
I talked to him once.
But never really didn't really keep watching it. But now he's seen him grow, his channel grow, and just kind of on the periphery and see clips from him from time to time.
Yeah, so I've known Ruslan since I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
Because he was a Christian rapper. I was into Christian rap back then. He had a group called The Breaks. So it was him, Belief, who's now also a big content creator. Belief in Fatherhood. He has content centered around just his life with his kids, and it's actually really dope. But yeah, so they had a rap group back when I was like 14, 15, The Breaks, and then he transitioned on when I was in college and created another rap group called Dream Junkie. So I've been familiar with.
Does he still rap
for a while? I don't think so. If he does, I haven't paid attention to any of his music. He was never my favorite in either of the groups he was a part of.
I was so at that point in time, 2015, I was so virulently anti-Christian rap. I was like the most out, and I was at ORU, I had graduated ORU at that point. But even before that, like I had just become so opposed to anything Christian rap because it felt like, Doug, why are you just telling me a bunch of doctrine and shit? Like,
well, so this is why I like Ruslan, because they weren't like that.
Okay, interesting.
They were a lot less over your head, beating you down with the Bible. They were a little bit more lifestyle. Of course, there's a little bit of preachiness into it, but it wasn't as overtly Christian as some of the other Christian rap. That's why
some
I like
of it would get into. I remember Tadashi be like, "That's why cherubim and seraphim wouldn't dare to sin because they're scared of him after peering at his face."
That was my introduction to a lot of that theology.
Right, that's crazy. I just pulled that bar out of nowhere.
That is crazy
because they know no angel has experienced grace.
I thought you just made that shit up.
No, that's a real Tadashi bar, bro. I have it in my head. Like I have old truth songs. I can just do it like bar.
Ambassador. That's
bro. I can do that stuff, but I kind of outgrew it because they were all like Calvinists. I'm like, why are y'all spitting this like awful trash theology? And I did an article like in 2013. No. This has been like 2013 after Good Kid, Mad City came out, and I was like, this is why Kendrick Lamar is the best Christian rapper. I had a little blog. Okay. And that pissed a lot of people off at ORU, like other students and stuff. But then like a year, 2 years later, somebody in Relevant magazine, like I felt like they stole my article, like almost word for word. I was about to say
that sounds familiar. Like I feel like I heard.
I feel like they just jacked my blog and put an article out. Anyway, that Kendrick he had a song called Faith too that a lot of people never heard of, where he kind of like goes a little bit more in depth into like his background in Christianity.
Yeah, he definitely has a background in Christianity. He kind of ventured into the Hebrew Israelite religion there for a little while.
Yeah, he just talked about with his uncle.
Yeah. Some people took that a little bit too far, that almost like he was promoting it.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's that deep.
He was quite doing that, but
yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into this. This is an interesting clip. I don't think you've seen it, so let's listen to Ruslan.
Advice, because it's really easy to point out problems. Anyone can point out problems. We could point out to injustices, systemic problems, all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, the left has done an amazing job of pointing out problems. Hassan Piker does a great job of pointing out.
I was not expecting to hear Ruslan start talking about Hassan Piker. The left is really good at pointing out problems. You know what? Do you know what the left reminds me of my wife? Like, where are we going with this? You know,
out problems. Yeah, right. The leftists can point out problems. So what did I say? Take ownership and responsibility of what you can take ownership and responsibility for. If you're screen.
So he's going to go on this, but I just have to cut in right here. He says, take ownership and responsibility for what you can take ownership and responsibility for. The reason why Ruslan triggers me so much is that I'm so familiar with this sort of hyper individualist logic. Like, the only thing that you should ever take responsibility for is yourself. And if there's an issue that's beyond you.
Right.
Hey, we can't really deal with that. You got to deal with you can control what you can control. You can't control the things you can't control. And it's like, it's back to the conversation we actually had a few weeks ago when I was talking about Carl Ellis and his 4 pains of biblical righteousness. The personal piety is the fixation for this sort of Christian.
Right.
The idea that whatever you need to do to make yourself right with God and fix your life, that's what you need to focus on. The social justice, the social piety, those things are just out of the equation.
But it's interesting because I was reading Gregory of Nyssa today.
Just casual.
Yeah.
Casual reading.
Who's like, he's like one of the only theologians that like the Orthodox and Catholic Church have never no one's ever like really tried to like correct him on anything. Like he's just like the dude. And, but he was talking specifically about what does it mean to be a human? And that what it means to be a human is not a singular thing. Because, you kind of thinking about like heaven and hell and all of that, like individual salvation, like, because the way he sees it is that all of humanity is bound up in each other, because I am not me without you, because you have made an indelible mark on me. And every other human, every other person that has shaped me to who I am right now is a part of me. And then also because Christ came and he took on humanity. Nyssa says that what it's talking about there is that he didn't just become a human when it says he took on humanity. He took on all of humanity, and all of humanity is now united in him. And so it's interesting that you bring that up, because reading that today, I've been thinking a lot about what does it mean to think as an individual, and why do Americans think about not only their salvation, but even what the Christian walk is supposed to be like in the world through such an individual lens, instead of the cosmic scope of God's saving act in the incarnation and the resurrection.
Yeah. I mean, it's culturally conditioned in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember there was a book called Reading Jesus Through Eastern Eyes, and there was a reason why the folks in my tradition were promoting that book, because the evangelical tradition is so steeped in Western perspectives that even something like an Eastern perspective of Christianity is foreign to them, because we just read the Bible and just the water we swim in is Western individualism.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, let's keep going.
Time on your phone is 7 to 10 hours a day. Start by cutting that down and going outside, working out, taking care of your body, educating yourself, learning new skills, hard skills. Develop yourself.
Yeah. Okay. It's funny he mentions
and I'm sorry if that sounds like I'm lecturing you. Some of y'all need to be lectured.
Hello.
Some of you need a big brother or a father figure to tell you, cut it out. Like, cut this out. You're not a victim, bro.
Yeah. I agree.
Cut it out. So that's hard shit. You don't want to acknowledge young men's issues. It's like young men's have always had issues.
And then I'm just going to stop agreeing.
The same arguments that are being used to justify why people are consuming Nick Fuentes and this nonsense is the same argument I've heard used from leftists to justify crime.
Oof.
To justify gang violence.
That's over.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they don't know any better because...
What? Did I miss something? Did I fall asleep for a second? What are we talking about all of a sudden?
I don't know.
Put down your phone, get into the gym. Leftists are the reason we have Nick Fuentes. And I know that's not. I know I'm mischaracter.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he got more to say?
You got more
unpack what he just said.
So just a little bit of context, right? And I probably should have said this at the beginning, but there's the thing that he's pushing back against is there's people in his comments that are saying that they're being swayed to look at like a Candace Owens and a Nick Fuentes and like viewing their content as not a solution, but like, hey, the world is so bad and these people are offering us an alternative narrative because things are so fucked up.
Yeah.
And so he's saying there's no excuse for you to be doing that. Fix your Jordan Peterson, clean up your room, make your bed.
Okay.
Does that kind of help?
Yeah, but what's that have to do with? That's the same reason as a leftist.
I don't know.
That's where I'm like, what does he mean? Yeah, I agree with the other thing that he said. Okay.
Crime and wealth, and it's like it's the same arguments.
Yeah.
It's the same arguments. It's just on the right now.
They don't
So
know
this
any
person
better.
says, I agree with a lot of what you said. One pushback I'd add is
They
that
don't
if we
know any
ignore the
better because
injustice
of
of the
crime.
system. What does that sound like?
Yeah,
Sounds like
right.
Marxism.
Yeah.
Sounds like the leftist brain rot.
Yeah.
That is used to exploit people. Literal Marxist.
If we ignore the injustice of the system,
Leftist brain rot.
okay, I think I kind of am picking up where he's laying down a little bit.
Okay. Will we keep going?
Yeah.
Terms.
Yeah.
Right? Then the exploitation not only continues unchecked,
Exploit
but
people.
gets
Stop.
worse over.
Exploit, well, thank you for giving us exploitation. that's a term that only we exist.
Only Marxists can use
Yeah.
the term exploitation.
Dude,
And
like
it's an
that-
evil term. Why is that an evil term?
Dude, it doesn't even have to be a moral term. It's just a definition of what's happening
Description.
when you extract more from somebody than when you extract what they earned, you're exploiting them.
Yeah. Well, in his worldview, anything that is associated with Marxism is inherently evil and demonic.
Oh.
So if there's any connection to that,
Ruslan, what, dog?
then he can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But being in that world, there's this whole conversation in 2020 in the spaces I was in about cultural Marxism.
Yeah.
Right. And so certain ideas around
Classic,
Black Lives Matter, they would say this is cultural Marxism, not interrogating what was bad about cultural Marxism, but
That
just
is
saying
so dumb.
Christians can't even entertain these ideas because of this demonic label of cultural Marxism that we're stamping on it. So I'm assuming that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
That's the sort of worldview that he's coming from. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you? Remind me how you are.
27.
27. Now you remember life 10 years ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were 17. Would you say today it is easier to go out and earn money or harder?
It's
Harder,
so
dummy.
much easier.
Oh,
me why.
my God.
I would say the most significant advancement.
Yo, stop it! Oh, it's so much easier. Yo, they're taking DoorDash. In our neighborhood, we got little robots running around delivering the food. Your ass ain't even about to be able to deliver food on DoorDash no more. Sparky's doing it.
People, I mean, I think it's just well known that inflation has raised the cost of living, especially in the past 5 years, in a way that's unprecedented. So, I mean, I think to be fair, he's not saying that people's standard of living has gotten better. He's saying it's theoretically easier to make money, and he's going to explain
Well, because
why.
there's more. I'm assuming because there's more freelance opportunities because
more precarious opportunities.
more precarious work because companies are just outsourcing all of that instead of actually hiring people and paying them a good wage.
Right.
So you can pick up little odds and ends, but that little extra income that you get, come on, all right, go
How
ahead.
about healthcare? Because if you have a job that's not a W-2, even if you make the same amount of money, you have to pay for your own healthcare.
Yeah, bro, I don't have any idea how people that don't make like as much money as I make, for example, that have 2 kids are surviving because our rent is $5,000. Our daycare is $5,000, so that's $10,000 a month right there. I'm curious how Champs is going to start a family here, and maybe he does, maybe he has a family. But like, how is somebody in this city going to go start a family with 2 kids? And it's easy to go make money enough to pay for that.
Well, he's going to explain exactly why it's super easy.
All right, I'm ready. I could be. Hey, I've been wrong. I've been wrong before. I'm ready to be wrong.
All right, we'll see.
In the past 10 years happened within the past 2 years of AI being exponentially
AI.
more useful. So so the internet is great, right? So even 10 years ago, that was available. I didn't go to college. I learned how to do video and photo.
So you didn't go to college and rack up a bunch of student loan debt.
Didn't do that.
But I thought that's what all young people were forced to do.
No, yeah, exactly. I was
Wow.
supposed
Yeah, I
to
like
do
this.
that.
Yeah, you don't have to
I
do
was
that.
able to
Certainly
make an
don't.
income, get married off of that, and that was wonderful. Fast forward to today, and that at least that back then took a level of digging. You were in the internet library, going through the shelves, picking out sources, watching stuff, figuring stuff out. Today, now Google search has turned into AI to where you can just ask a question and a bunch of sources
you can just
pop up.
ask a question and then get like 12 wrong answers. But you don't know that they're not wrong, so you run with it and think you're just doing great.
Answering specific questions and guiding you in specific directions on exactly how to do things as if you had someone sitting there with you telling you how to do it. Oh my gosh, this is insane. There's no reason someone shouldn't be able to like make make money or like pay their bills with AI.
Interesting.
I
don't agree with
helped
that.
Pay their bills.
I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, you can use AI to like help you do a handful of things, like
what?
to learn some things, maybe to get like your foot in the door. But I don't see the route to a sustainable income for the average person by just using AI.
They always say this, like, and we're going to talk about this in another clip, but they use this idea that AI has given people access to information as if that's going to directly lead them to be able to make more money.
Yeah.
If you learn how to code using AI, guess what happened on the back end? There's less people that are needed.
Know how to do,
There's less people that know how to do it because you don't have the deep knowledge that's needed. And also, companies don't need you because the people like me that actually know how to code can use AI and be 10x more productive.
Yeah.
So if you don't know anything, you just learn from AI, you're not useful.
Yeah. And then you don't become broke because AI can be a useful tool to help you research some things or do that. But like, just to be honest with you, like when I scroll through Instagram and TikTok and I'm looking at like these Christian or a lot of even evangelical influencers, different stuff like that. I'm not saying any names here, but like there's a lot of times where I'm like, this is so obviously an AI written script. Like it's not good. You're making overarching generalizations. You have certain patterns of speech. And so like, I mean, is that really the world? It's also funny that like they're going to AI as the way that you're gonna, solve your money problem when AI is actually the thing that's about to decimate incomes around the world.
We'll talk about that later. It's so short-sighted, right? Like they're buying into the propaganda that the AI companies are giving you. We'll get into it.
No hate on these guys. Like I'm
No
not,
hate.
no, I could probably be friends with both of these guys in, given the right set of circumstances, I'd be cool with both of these guys. Hey, let's hang out.
That I know that was struggling with job interviews, create a custom set of ChatGPT instructions that helped them with entry-level job interviews. Okay. And so when they turned it on, like the voice chat, it would do a mock interview to them, asking them questions, and then it would, I set it up so that it would give them harsh critiques on whether they would be hired or not hired based off of their responses, and give them feedback on their responses and how to do better next time.
No, he dropped the stop. He's dropping the hammer.
No. This is not hitting like he thinks it's hitting. I'm sorry.
Okay, keep going.
Phone, practicing with like an expert individual.
Yep. That's incredible. So, shocker. I remember the 90s.
Exactly. I remember the 2015. It's like that's not even that deep. It goes back further.
I got my first job in the year 2000 at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
I learned about liabilities and assets very early on. Meaning, if you put your money in assets, things that appreciate in value, that will long-term
My guy read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
You know what the issue was back then?
Yes.
To be able to acquire assets, you needed a minimal of $2,000 cash, and you needed someone that you knew was a financial investor.
Yeah.
Now, that could be done right inside a Cash App, dog.
Oh,
you can buy assets. You can buy ETFs right inside of Cash App. You can buy Bitcoin right inside of Cash App.
Oh, no.
I remember
back then they had the minimum.
Yes.
Like you couldn't play for less than $5.
Less than $2,000. Now you can do.
As a you got to pause this. I'm a financial advisor. I can't actually say too much about that online. Sure. I can't because it'd be viewed as me giving financial advice or whatever. But
I can say it. Don't do that shit.
Oh no!
Don't do that. The thing that is continuing to frustrate me about this conversation is that they will point out things that are systemic, that are in their favor, but they will ignore all the systemic things that are headwinds against people. So yes, AI presents opportunities, but guess what? The job market is worse than it's ever been,
bro,
in the past 15 years. So even if you use AI to interview, to present yourself well to a company, if there's less opportunities, it doesn't matter.
That's right.
Yes, there's opportunities for you to invest, but there's so much information telling you and trying to basically entice you to gamble your funds away. Bro, you don't know what you're doing. That's actually not good. That's worse.
Bro, I was just about to say, and I seriously I think Ruslan is like a cool dude or whatever. I know I sound like a mega hater here, but this is just a funny clip. But he literally just is like, it's so much easier now. You can gamble straight from your phone. You can buy Bitcoin. You can get on. You can just get on the app and buy stocks. I'm surprised he didn't say rain bet.
And I guarantee you, if we say to him, this is actually bad because people are going to make bad decisions because of the incentive structure that's around, he said, well, that's their fault.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, probably. I mean,
I remember my first job. I remember the 90s. I didn't work in the 90s, but I got my first job in the year 2000. I remember the 2000s. I remember the 2010s.
Yeah.
Okay. From my vantage point, and it's not just because I become more successful, but yes, you become more successful as you focus and hunker down over time. Things have gotten substantially easier to earn money. Now, someone will push back and say, yeah, but that dollar doesn't buy the same amount anymore.
Yeah, I mean, nowhere near.
I mean, you can just make triple the amount of dollars.
No, you cannot.
Like
No,
it,
you can't.
it is adjusted for inflation.
Yes.
ChatGPT doesn't help you make.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Just make triple the amount of money.
So if I needed to make $80,000 to sustain before inflation, let me just magically make $240.
Yeah. Let me
Just that easy.
Let me just double that. Let me
Tell my boss, let me tell my employer actually that because of inflation, they need to bump my salary 3x. Let me tell them.
Well, actually, you could just go on RainBet right on your phone and just bet your salary. You could 3x
Right, then I
right
can 3x it real quick.
Yeah, straight to the moon, right? Ruslan coin. Not just
Oh, God.
$30,000. Like you can make whatever the current livable income is that you want to make.
Yeah.
You can figure it out by using these resources to build the skills to do that.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
Somebody
So,
can. Pause it real quick. This is where I want to say my thing, right? On entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur. Okay. Like this is the kind of thing where it's like anybody could do that,
Right.
but everybody
Cannot.
can't do that. You want to know why? We like somebody making our coffee we like having a barista.
Right.
We like grocery stores having people that work in it that run. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur.
Ruslan wants to scale a business. He needs employees.
He needs employees.
That dude, I'm pretty sure, is working for Ruslan.
Right. And I'm sure he's got some side hustles, but come on, I mean, how many, people need to fish. You know what I mean? Where are we going to go and enjoy our lives?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There were boomers in the comments that were like, how dare you tell these young people that it's harder now to buy a home? It was always hard. It was always difficult. It was always hard to earn money. It was always so don't tell them that it's harder now. You know, they were mad at me because I was saying, it's harder to buy a home now.
I remember a long time ago, my grandma was like,
it is harder.
People
It is
always say it was
objectively.
harder
It's
to buy
not
a
a-
home.
Oh,
But
my
we had
God.
17% interest rates.
That's right.
Yeah, but I'm like, on a $15,000 house with the ocean view, and then when the interest rate went down, you just refinance.
Okay.
Finance.
That went away.
I agree here.
Oh, yeah.
Prices just
Absolutely
go
agree.
down.
Hey,
I don't want
Champ
to
is
have
spitting.
a pissing
Absolutely
match about
agree.
who has it
Don't
harder
take it
or
back,
has it easier.
Ruslan.
It's irrelevant. I will say that if you were average in the 90s,
It's very relevant. What do you mean?
It's very real. Yeah. Why did you bring it up?
Why would you take it back? Because it's not up for debate.
Bro.
Any individual person.
Bro,
may have
did
had
his
it harder.
employee just nerf the argument
I
he
think
was
he
trying to make?
Let's
Bro,
go.
but he's about to find out. He's about to get fired and find out how hard it is to make
if
money.
you were willing to be a bot and go to school and get the degree, and you were average, it was probably easier in the 90s.
Not probably.
If you are willing to be exceptional and above average now, you're going to do way better now. If you are entrepreneurial, if you're creative, if you're self-motivated, it's going to be way easier now.
Yes.
Okay. If you were creative in the
Pause it.
90s,
Just be exceptional. Do you know what that means? By definition, everybody can't do that because then the average is right. So but just be exceptional. Here's my problem with so much of this talk is we're not free until we're all free.
Yes.
And I just don't understand having, and I guess this gets back to what you're talking about the individualism. Yeah. Having this worldview and perspective that these safety boat solutions are solutions. Yeah. When the ship is sinking.
Right.
And we're talking about but if you really outwork everybody else, you can make it on the safety boat. You can make it on the safety boat and let them sink. That's basically what they're talking about.
Meanwhile, there's probably 10 safety boats that are already out there, and there's a sniper capping each one of them
son.
one by one, and you're next.
Yeah, wow.
But you don't see that.
this didn't exist. What we're doing now didn't. What the heck would we be doing in the 90s? Probably working at a church somewhere or selling something.
No, you would have a job that had maybe a pension, 401k, health insurance, Anyways, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Used car salesmen.
Yeah,
Like this did not exist.
But where do people with the gift of gab go?
TBN,
I guess
dog.
it's just sales.
Right.
Yeah. So like I don't want to have that conversation, but I do want to lean into this conversation, right? And then I'll get to practical things that need to change in order to bring down housing. Because let's just do the most simple thing. Right?
Yeah.
It says, as clearly happened, this also makes younger generations feel gaslit that things aren't economically bad for them. They are just lazy or entitled. Here's the thing: when you're younger, you don't have perspective. If you haven't been around for a couple of decades, you're not going to know how things have changed for the better or the worse.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're 18 to 22, all you know is this. This is all you know. This is your entire reality is this.
Yeah.
Right. And yes, in my opinion, you're probably at a disadvantage if you were 10 and a freaking parent handed you a smartphone with infinite access to the internet and porn and all the other crazy.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay. Probably not great. Fair enough. Okay. But you don't have any perspective because you don't know. Like I'm 40. I'll be 41 this year.
Come on.
Right. Like I just bought my first home.
Ruslan?
2.5 years ago.
He looks good.
It's hard, dog.
You
It's
look great.
hard. It's hard. No one promised you an easy, cushy life. They're just lazy or entitled. Many of you are lazy and entitled. Respectfully,
That's
if you're
true.
spending 50 hours on your phone, you're probably lazy and
Well,
entitled.
yeah, but
now if you're
they've
like,
been
hey, bro,
targeted to be that way.
screen time 1 hour a day. I'm developing myself. I'm on TaskRabbit.
I'm on TaskRabbit.
I got little side hustles.
Got a little side hustle.
TaskRabbit?
Yeah.
My nigga TaskRabbit. How much money you making on TaskRabbit, bro?
Bro, over here, installing dish racks.
TaskRabbit. Like, do you really think somebody's gonna be able to do anything substantial off the money you make on TaskRabbit? Get the fuck out of here. This is what these companies in the tech industry want you to do. They want to give you the opportunity that this is an easy way for you to make money. Meanwhile, you're trapped and don't have any benefits, can't save, and you're at the mercy of them shutting off your account.
Bro, the other thing that this kind of employment does is it actually turns it so that the employees can never view the competition as the company, right? Because that's where the real competition is. The employees and the owner, the company, they are in competition over the assets that are being brought in, and the company wants to extract the surplus labor value from the employee. So the employee creates all this labor, all this value. They only get paid a certain amount of that, very small percentage of that. The company wants to keep the rest. So traditionally, we'd understand the employees might unionize because they want to claw back some of those profits that reasonably should belong to the people doing the work to create the profit. What this kind of work does is it actually makes it so that the worker's enemy, the person they're competing with, is not the employer, it's the other employee. It's the other worker.
Contract.
The Uber drivers aren't competing against Uber, they're competing against each other. They view each other. And so it just eliminates the possibility for people to actually come together and do anything to enhance or make their situation better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That I'm doing, community, I got a mentor. Well, then, man, you're the exception to the rule. But I would say a lot of folks are lazy and entitled. I know that's hard to hear, right? I know that's hard to hear. And so it feels like nobody is hearing their valid grievances, which in and of itself is a radicalizing force. I think we hear your grievances. We just say, hey, you don't have true perspective yet.
Oh my God,
you don't have perspective to understand how good you really have it.
He sounds like a lib.
The broken system.
Honestly, he sounds like Hillary Clinton. This is how the liberals were talking in the last election, calling Trump's people baskets of deplorables and stuff. And really, they were just people that, like this kid, whoever this comment is, Trump was speaking to people like this, and libs were like, you got it good. Just like in the last election, like the people are suffering financially, and the Democrats' whole message was the economy is great.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. Yeah, it's gaslighting.
And it's not, I don't think people who are 18 to 22, you may have an older brother, an older sister. Things have gotten worse so fast. Like the new grad employment is at an all-time low. I don't know if it's an all-time low, but new grads are having an extremely hard time finding jobs. So even if you have an older brother or older sister that's 5 years older than you, and you've seen that their career trajectory is taking off in a way that yours haven't,
different already.
It's completely different. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist.
Largely probably because of the birth of AI and as companies move forward.
So it's not as if these people are 18 to 20. They just don't know how good they have it. No, they can look around and see, these are the things that I was promised. Go to school, get an education, go get a STEM degree, and you'll have an opportunity. They're like, this is what I was told growing up. I did the work, and now I can't get a job.
Yeah.
That's a radicalizing force. And then for you to look down your nose on them and say, you don't have any perspective. You're just lazy and entitled. Some of them are, but at the end of the day, like, they've been fucked.
Yes, absolutely.
It's just a reality.
I'm thinking of like an analogy where it's like somebody's telling them like, yo, I used to be a boot maker. Like I could have been a boot maker. People used to make boots, but now the boot is on my neck. It's crushing me. And he's like, if you lick that boot, they might give you a couple of pennies.
Lick it up, man.
Yeah.
If you're lazy,
Yeah.
get that tongue.
Why are you complaining? You don't have any perspective. You're complaining about the boot on your neck. You're not realizing if you shine it, they might throw you a nickel. Come on, dog.
People actively engage in pointing out its deficiencies and try to fix them.
I need to fix the system to fix my problem.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at the world. You
Yes,
could blame
absolutely.
the world, or you could take ownership. Right? This is why one of Jordan Peterson's
That's
rules
what
for life
fixing
is-
the system is.
This is a fundamental disagreement.
Taking the system is taking ownership.
Absolutely. It's the fundamental disagreement.
Fixing the system, but saying like, oh, I can just escape on my little life raft. That's taking no ownership, right? That's saying like, hey, like, this for me and that for thee. I can't really help you, and that's actually cheap.
Yeah.
What's costly is saying I'm committed not just to my own development, not just to my own safety, not just to my own security. I'm committed to yours.
Yes.
We're united, and we're not going to sit by and let these handful of people rob all of you guys. But this is the people that are taking the little incentive or the little like, hey, what do you call them? It's like the new professional managerial class, right? It's I don't even know what you would call it because he's not a professional managerial, but he's filling that same role.
It's the same messaging.
The petit bourgeois or something.
Yeah. It feels like what you're saying sounds a little bit more like Christianity to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just looking out for myself. I have solidarity with all of God's
That's right.
children. We're all made in the image of God. So I'm not, nobody's free until we're all free. I feel like that's the sort of, even when I was a Christian, probably in the last few years, like this is also partly why I have a hard time with Ruslan is because I see an opportunity for a vision of Christianity that has solidarity across the board. It is not just thinking about self in individualistic terms. And it's just like, it's there for you if you want it.
Yes.
It's there for you if you want it. If you just lay down some of this propaganda or maybe it's programming or I don't know what it is. And I think some of it, I think he's an immigrant or parent of immigrants. And I also am a child of immigration myself. So I understand like when you come to a new country, you do feel like, hey, I've come here. I have the opportunity to make something of myself from nothing. Like that is a real part of the reality as well. But I think maturing is realizing that wherever you came from, there was things that were outside of your control that caused you to leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you've come here and there's an opportunity because there's a system that's set up to give you the opportunity. And when that opportunity starts to be clawed back, yes, you have responsibility, but the responsibility shouldn't just be for me to make mine and survive. You have to do that to a certain extent just to be able to eat. But it's what does it look like to create community, and together we can all find a way to create a better world for each other. And he's about to say, continue on and say something that I just can't stomach.
Let me just say this real quick. Yeah. That's actually the part I was reading from Gregory of Nyssa when he's like describing like what is a person, what is humanity. Yeah. Essentially, like, the idea there is that the idea that some people go to heaven and some people go to hell, like, or I'll rather say it like this: universalism is often viewed as cheap. Right? That doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. But when you actually think about it from Nyssa's perspective, some people going to heaven, some people going to hell. That's cheap. That's me pulling the escape cord, not actually digging in to to be the body of Christ in his healing work and redemptive work in the world.
That's good.
To bring everybody into him so that in the end God will be all in all. Right? Because if some don't, then God's not all in all.
Reconcile all things.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, what's actually costly is being committed to that universal fraternal brotherhood and sisterhood of humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, make your bed and clean your room before you criticize the world.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's
JP?
like, okay, let's say all these things are true.
Make your bed.
So what? Like,
Do
how does that serve
methadone
you?
before you criticize
So
the
what?
world.
It doesn't benefit you to even focus on those
To consume
things.
yourself with this.
Yeah. Besides saying, okay,
Bro,
That's crazy.
it doesn't benefit you to consume yourself with the systemic issues.
Yeah.
Bro,
I remember
people
saying
say stuff is CIA propaganda. That sounds like some CIA propaganda.
I remember saying stuff like this.
Yeah.
And so like I know like where their minds are at, and I really want to be careful. I don't want to like hate on them for this, but that is really bad.
That's bad.
That's really
I'm
bad.
sorry.
That is exactly,
it's bad.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
Like that's like, that's like the prisoner. You're the prisoner that gets to come out of the cell for a little bit every day, get a little extra scrap of gruel so that you go back in and tell the rest of the prisoners, like, I don't want to escape here.
It's great.
Yeah, this is good. They give us food every day. It's free. This what they're doing right now. This is being institutionalized.
Oh, there's a unique set of disadvantages today that there weren't there 10 years ago, 50 years ago.
Yep.
There's also a unique set of advantages. I'm not going to focus on the system and trying to point them out, and so that somebody else can fix them. So I'm just going to use the advantages, the unique set of advantages against the unique set of disadvantages. To get myself in a better spot.
That's right. That's good. Broken system can't change unless people are actively engaged in pointing out its deficiencies. And
You can do both, right?
That's what you got to stay in business to build a business, right? You got to stay alive to be a part of a revolution. You got to stay alive to be a part of the global struggle for liberation. But at the end of the day, like if all you do is stay alive and you just leave everybody else behind, we know where you stand.
Right. I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
How to fix them, whether that's in a direct way via voting for certain candidates. This is the issue. There's no candidates that are proposing to fix these things right now. My basic point is that taking responsibility and doing one's best
that is a big part of the issue.
Given on the one hand, and critiquing and attempting to reform the broken system on the other hand, need not be pitted against each other.
I'm with this commentary.
Reformata, as the Protestants evangelicals like to say. So here's the thing. When there is opportunity to change stuff, change stuff. The issue is something like housing is not going to change overnight. You know how housing gets cheaper? I'll tell you how housing gets cheaper. You got to first change the zoning laws. You need more mixed zoning. Okay, that's not changing because both the left and the right don't want that to change. We call them not in my backyard liberals. They don't want apartments near their track homes.
Also true.
They don't want mixed use areas near their beautiful track.
All right, Ruslan, you're spitting. Come on.
Right. So you have to first change the zoning laws to make it easier to build. Okay, that requires a massive overhaul. You better be at your city hall meetings. You better be connected to the developers
we can never
in your
do
area.
It. Might as well just
you better
say
be connected to how the zoning works in your actual area. Okay, that's like actually how you move the needle. 2, you have to deregulate some of the environmental lunacy, especially in blue states, around we can't build here because this little
a bird lands here once a year.
Yeah,
for
a bird lands
7
here,
days.
and this.
All right, let me wrap. Let's wrap that up. Like, here's what I'll say. Actually, he's making like a point that is really important because, if all you do is live in the online space of like leftist critique or like critique of capitalism, critique of systems, then you just end up in a rabbit hole where you can just get depressed. You don't advance your life forward. You don't do anything like that. Here's what I recommend: do what he said. Get into the gym, get healthy if you can, exercise at home, whatever you got to do, read, bathe, make your bed in the morning, all that, and then go find a local socialist organization, political organization in your local area and figure out what can I do to get involved, because guess what? That's also going to help you fix a lot of the community problems.
Absolutely.
You feel like you're sitting at home alone online all the time, go get involved, build community. Absolutely. These organizations are out there. Just Google what are the top, leftist or socialist organizations, political organizations in my neighborhood.
The subtext that is funny about this is that the people that he's talking to are nowhere near considering joining any socialist anything. They're listening to Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. So if you're listening to Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Nick Fuentes, turn the TV off like Hendrik said.
They might be closer.
Closer to who?
They might be closer than we think, though. Like, because if their critique is right, they just need a little bit of direction.
Yeah, you're directing your anger in the wrong place.
Aimed at, because there actually are organizations that are educating people on the exact stuff he's talking about. Here's how we organize locally. I've got some friends, even in Nashville, right? I've got some friends organizing to do really awesome stuff. Even if it's small, they're getting involved in the community. Like, Nashville took away a lot of the benches. Nashville took away a lot of the benches at the bus stops because homeless people were sleeping on them and stuff, or they'll install benches where, with little dividers so people can't lay down. And this awesome community in Nashville got together and they started just building benches. They called it a bench for everyone, a bench for all, something like that. Yep. They started building benches together on the weekends and then installing them at bus stops that people have something to do. Even if it's something little like that, that is a starting point, and you start to build community where you can actually build bigger movements. Absolutely. So I think that's, really valuable.
That's good.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Colten here. Thank you for watching Ask the Next Question. Leave us a note in the comments about a topic you want to see us discuss that we haven't brought up yet. And if you are enjoying this podcast so far, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and like I said, leave a comment. We really appreciate you guys.
So next up, we've got infamous Pastor Mark Driscoll. I don't know. How familiar are you with Mr. Mark?
I'm way more familiar than anybody should be. I shouldn't be this familiar with him.
Me too.
I wish I didn't know who he was.
Me too.
I had, we just watched the Ruslan clip and, disagreement, but I honestly think he's like a cool dude. I'd be down to like chill with him sometimes.
Yeah.
But I say that like he would want to chill with me. He's like,
after that last segment, I don't know if he would.
but Mark Driscoll, nah, dog.
We ain't got nothing good to say.
Yeah.
I remember when I was like 16 years old, I would wake up in the morning every Monday or whenever his sermons came out. I would put my headphones in, listen to Mars Hill's sermon along with my oatmeal or eggs.
What year is this?
This is like 20. This is right before the end of him.
Wow.
This is probably like 2011.
That was so 2011. He was the #1 downloaded podcast preacher in America.
Him and Matt Chandler.
I can happily say I always was against Mark Driscoll.
That's great.
And it was my favorite thing to tease other kids at ORU that loved him.
Yeah.
In at Oral Roberts, where I went to university.
Yeah, there's probably from 2011 to when he got fired or whatever in 2013. I was like,
bro, I've recently even had like a friend who was like a hardcore stan. My friend John reached out to me. He's like,
he's
bro,
a stan of Driscoll now?
No, he was.
Okay.
He reached out to me like, bro, you were so right back then.
Okay.
He's a pastor. This guy's now like a pastor of a church. And he's like, you were so right.
Did you hear there was a podcast series that came out called The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill? Came out in like 22.
I didn't listen to it, but I know about it.
I listened to it. I actually listened to it a little bit before we started recording, just to kind of like remind myself, man, that was fucking bad. He is a terrible person. Yeah. And it's not like, like we're saying, Ruslan, there's some people you just disagree with. You may not like some of the things they said. This man is a liar, an abuser, a narcissist, angry, violent, just a terrible person who somehow, some way, even after this is all public, he's preaching at another church and he's got hundreds of thousands of people following him. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm honestly starting to feel a little bad for him now because I'm just starting to remind myself he is all of those things that you said, which means he's like a deeply wounded, hurt, weak person who just can't. He hasn't figured out how to cope with life. And so all these strategies he developed, these toxic strategies, that's the thing about toxic masculinity or toxic this or toxic that, is when something's toxic, guess who it's toxic?
Right. It's toxic.
My dog just ate all my son's advent calendar and all the chocolate inside. I'm like Googling dog toxicity, right? Yeah. I'm not worried about the toxicness, right? Although it does spill over.
Absolutely. She
might barf on my carpet. Yes. So, but seriously, like, that toxicity that has seeped into him. Like when you don't get healed from that, it just gets worse and worse and worse. That's good. So I'm sure he's worse than he ever has been.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hold our nose and listen to some Mark Driscoll.
Basic income is ungodly. Redistribution of wealth is ungodly. Giving money to people who aren't working is ungodly. What that means is when we sent checks to everybody during COVID, it was ungodly. We just took a bunch of guys who weren't going to pay off their college loans and just gave them money. It was ungodly. If anything, we should have found a way to tell guys who have college debt, hey, why don't you work and then you can earn money? Crazy idea. They didn't teach you that at college. And then you could pay off your debt.
What does he think like people have to do? People have to work and make money so they can pay off their debt. I pay $6,000 a month in student loan payments. What's this guy talking about?
It's so simple in his world. And that's the thing that I think is so compelling for some about Mark Driscoll. He says things with such confidence and clarity. It's just like, oh, maybe it really is that simple, when it's absolutely not that simple. Yeah. And he's completely and utterly
wrong. A good communicator.
He is a great communicator.
He communicates dumb things really, profoundly, really powerfully. Yeah. The other thing is like, some needs to tell Jesus to cool it with them loaves and fishes, dog. That's ungodly. Yeah, that is ungodly.
They don't have them fish and bread.
Nah, dude. Like, what is he thinking?
I think so. I was thinking about this earlier, and I feel like, and maybe this is going to sound harsh, but for people like Mark Driscoll, the worst thing that you can be is a person who is an undeserving victim in their eyes. If you are a man and you can't pay for your student loans, he's disgusted at the idea that you might claim to be a victim of some system. No, you're a man. You can't be a victim. You should just go to work, as if most of the people graduating from college right now are actively trying to find jobs but can't even get a job at fucking Starbucks.
I know.
And then when they go live with their parents because they can't find a job, he will shame them still and say, look at these losers who are living with their parents and are not making anything of themselves. What woman would want to marry them? This is the sort of language
I'm sorry,
he has
not
to
all of
stand
us.
for these people.
Not all of us can write a book and then get our church to secretly buy $200,000 worth of copies so we can become first New York Times bestseller and then pocket all the profit. I'm
Talk
pretty
about
sure.
ungodly.
Come on, man. Like this, what is going on, dude? I think he's pastoring in Arizona now.
He is in Arizona, yes.
And basic income, handing out jobs. So what would be godly in the situation like COVID where people can't work? It would be godly to, let people starve, to, let people not be able to force them to go deeper and deeper into debt, to force them to, have radically worse mental health outcomes, which is going to make their marriage quality deteriorate, going to drive them to alcoholism. Yeah, like not doing that would lead to all the things he says he's like anti or whatever.
Yeah.
He just doesn't really think things through very, very often, Mark Driscoll.
He's got certain, axioms or principles that he goes off of, and those are
honestly, he's a grifter though too, because he's shifted up his whole theology. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
Because I'm pretty sure now he's like all charismatic, like speaking in tongues, gifts of the Spirit and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure he was like in the John Piper, camp before.
He was. It's funny because he was a little bit charismatic. I was listening to the podcast, like I said, and speaking of his book, he wrote a book called Strange. He didn't write Strange Fire. He wrote some other book, and there was a Strange Fire conference with John MacArthur and those people who I never could rock with. They think dancing is a sin. Yeah. Those sorts of people. So they had a conference about their anti-charismatic stance, and Mark Driscoll had a conference called Man Up.
Yeah.
This was probably early 2010s. And Mark Driscoll decided, along with James McDonald and some other people, to go crash John MacArthur's conference and try to sell his book at John MacArthur's conference.
Bro, what a clown, dude. He literally the least manly dude imaginable. Like the most pathetic, weak, Weasley, little sniveling.
How tall do you think he is? He look like he's about 5'3".
Yeah, I don't know. He could be taller, but yeah, he does look like about 5'3". Clearly, when you like look back at any of the stuff where he used to have that pseudonym where he would write on like,
oh yeah, they talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, he would talk about like, women are penis homes and stuff like this. Like, all right, you've got like some serious self-image issues going on. You're doing a lot of splitting, a lot of projection. Yeah. And I do kind of feel bad for him though, because it's hard walking through life that wounded and that leaking all over yourself and everybody all the time.
Yeah, man. Mark Driscoll is ungodly.
Mark Driscoll, unmanly.
That too.
He really is like pathetic,
Okay, so we talked about Scott Galloway. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think
it was last time.
Yeah.
So he was getting some pushback from his book, and so he did an interview with, I think this is Katie Couric, and she's going to read a comment from a therapist who spoke about her perception of the book, and then Scott's going to respond. And I think it'll be interesting for us to kind of engage with some of his responses.
Who is this woman?
Katie Couric from.
Oh, this is Katie Couric?
Yeah, from CBS.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist, and I see a ton of young adult men and boys. Let me tell you, I can spot a Galloway watcher within about 5 minutes. Galloway, to his credit, packages his brand of bullshit on improving men and not demeaning women. But he does so through the same tired and harmful ways of internalizing shame to be weaponized as a motivator to compete in the mating market. Yeah. You'll never be enough until you win
that's what we talked about.
And then have a family and then provide for that family. And this worked for him, so he's happy to preach it. If I just get a girlfriend, any decent girlfriend, then I'll have a wife and be happy. Now you've got a man who derives his value from his partner, and suddenly jealousy, anger, and resentment start to creep in when that relationship goes through natural ebbs and flows. Same thing with placing all of your value on your career. Lose your job, and now who are you? You're in my office trying to rebuild a sense of self from the ground up is who you probably are. I just thought that was a very interesting comment.
I think that's a really thoughtful comment, what you wrote, and I'll take it to heart. I think there's a kernel of truth in it, because when it hits me hard, and I don't like it, which probably means there's some truth in it. The retort would be, well, me finding self-worth pay for my health insurance for me and my kids. And I'm not suggesting you need to be a baller and make millions of dollars. I'm suggesting in a capitalist society, when America we believe in winners and losers, and the safety net is near the ground, that you need to be economically viable.
You were so close to like having a moment.
Security, because I didn't think I have trauma around.
Oh my
That's
God.
my way. I acknowledge it may not be the right way. I think there are a lot of people who decide they want to work to live. They move to a lower cost neighborhood. They have decent jobs. They don't need a Range Rover. They don't need to go to San Tropez. They want a decent house. They want to coach Little League. They want to go to church. More power to them. What I'm suggesting is that people have an honest conversation around their expectations economically and the sacrifice required to get there.
So that was the interaction.
Okay, pause. This is where like rich people, where like the degree to which they do not understand how expensive and how hard basic life is for an average family, because like he's like, oh well, yeah, you don't need to go to San Tropez, you don't need to be partying with Diddy, you don't need a Range Rover. Nobody's in danger of that.
Right.
Like people are trying to keep their hoopty running, trying to keep the air in the tires, right? Yes. Trying to, bro, oh my gosh. I just think about like being a kid and like wanting pizza. And I remember like my mom going around the house, and this is like in the 90s the 90s, right? Going around the house looking for change. We got the couch cushions out. We're finding, I got a quarter, I got a nickel. We're just looking for stuff. I'm going around the neighborhood looking for money on the street, scraping just enough together to try to get to buy a pizza from Pizza Hut. Like, it's harder now for people.
Absolutely.
And like, that's what they're facing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he understands just what a radically disproportionate amount of people have nothing.
Have no savings, couldn't afford an emergency expense. That's the majority of Americans.
They can't afford to buy, a Geo Metro. You know what I mean?
If their car transmission went out like mine did in like 2019, they can't afford to get it fixed.
Bro.
Like, this is the vast majority of Americans.
Bro, after I graduated from college, my friend Robert, he used to go around, I would like go do stuff with him and his family. And he would like introduce me to people like, this is my friend Colten. He's in a dire situation. Because I was living, bro, I bought a 1991 Honda Accord from my friend's dad, who was a security guard at Victory Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, pastored by Paul Doherty. And he sold it to me for $1 so that it could be a sale so that I wouldn't have to pay taxes on it if he gave it to me as a gift. And
shout out to Paul, man.
No, it wasn't Paul. It was a security guard.
Oh, security guard.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was, bro, the car didn't have air conditioning. It didn't have heat. The windows didn't roll down. And they had a sunroof that was leaking a little bit, and it had I replaced the alternator. I thought it was an alternator problem, but still, even with the new alternator being fixed, the battery didn't charge. So you could only drive for 30 minutes at a time, and you couldn't turn the headlights on.
Struggle mobile, my guy.
If you turned the headlights on, you only had 10 minutes of drive time, and so I would have to go to places. Get where I was going, I would take the battery out, and I had a little wall charger, turtle wall charger. So you plug it into the wall and you clip it onto the battery.
Yo, that's
I was working at a church. I would show up to staff meeting and I would plug my battery, and everyone would be looking at me like, "What are you doing?" I was sleeping in it.
Dire situation,
bro. It was 100 to 110 degrees in Oklahoma summer. I had a cast up to here, and I was sleeping in that car with no air conditioning, with nothing, and. Life was still really, really hard even after that. Like being married, young and married, and we were having our electricity shut off or this shut off, and we got lucky and we worked really hard. But a lot of people work really hard and the luck doesn't kick in.
Exactly, they get bad luck.
Yeah, he just has no clue where he's like, oh, well, you don't need to have these fancy things, bro. They're not at risk of spending their money on fancy things. They're trying to survive.
Right, and to his credit, I think he would acknowledge those things, but I think his solution would be back to Ruslan's solution. To be a man in the face of those headwinds, you need to find a way to make it work for yourself.
Right. Well, you do have to find a way to make it work.
I agree.
But it's like, okay, if we don't do something, if we don't make our primary message about, hey, stay alive to help fix the system, right? In business, we say you got to stay in business while you build a business. You got to you got to focus on the big picture, but you got to focus on the day-to-day too, to build a movement, but you got to stay alive. But if you don't ever talk about anything about fixing it, it's going to keep getting worse.
Exactly.
It's going to keep getting harder and harder to win at capitalism. I love what that therapist said. He's like, if you win at capitalism, then you can have some self-worth. People, it is impossible. The majority of people aren't going to win at it because that's just the way the numbers shake out. The majority of people can't.
His fundamental worldview, he said it very quickly. He said, we believe in capitalism. We believe in winners and losers.
Dang.
And so to me,
I didn't even catch it.
That is a fundamental, I have a fundamental disagreement with that.
Yes.
Even if someone quote unquote loses, are you okay with more people losing?
Yeah.
And are you okay with those people losing being left on the street?
Yeah.
Are you okay with them being bankrupt if they have a health issue?
Yeah.
What does losing look like to you? And what is an acceptable amount of losing?
Yep.
And what does dignity look like for the losers in your world?
What does dignity look like, bro?
What does that look like? How does a man who loses, because losing doesn't mean necessarily you're a loser.
Right.
Something could have happened that swept you. You could have got an illness, could have gotten an accident.
Yep.
Plenty of things happen in life. and that can put you in Scott's loser category.
That's exactly right.
So as a man, if you find yourself in that category, do you have a path for masculinity in his worldview? And it seems like you don't. And I think that's, at least for me, and I think for you too, like that's where we have a fundamental disagreement with Scott. Even though I think I appreciate his posture here. I think he's showing a willingness to listen and to learn and to like try to take insight from someone who's pushing back on him. But at the end of the day, he has this worldview that is unshakable.
Something that's really standing out to me here is he said that hit him hard.
Yeah.
Which means he hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah.
Bro, you are smart enough. Like how...
That's a good point.
Like it just shows like how isolated the wealthy are from even hearing things. Like it takes one of the world's greatest reporters, Katie Couric, to make this guy realize that like the most obvious hole in his the way he thinks.
We said it last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. Like, and it's like they're not thinking. They're so disconnected from reality that this is a radical thought where he's like, "Oh, that hit me hard."
Yeah,
come on, dude.
It's common sense to the average person.
We and you frame masculinity in economic terms in a lot of ways. There's a lot of discussion of earnings and status and productivity, ambition, etc. So, just your reactions to the clip, and then as a larger question for this conversation, the question is: to what extent does money impact your understanding and your conception of what it means to be a man?
So I think a really fair criticism of the book is that I reverse engineer what's worked for me to advice for everybody. And that what's worked for me is to try and take risks and initiate conversations with strangers and demonstrate kindness and establish a large friendship group and ultimately establish what have been really rewarding friendships, mentorships, and romantic relationships for me. And that also the stress I had as a younger person was related to economic scarcity or not having enough money. And so working really hard, which came at a cost in developing economic security, has been very rewarding for me. And I reverse engineer back from economic success and having a partner to what everyone should do. And it's a fair criticism to say, well, just winning at capitalism and having a romantic partner, some people, A, may choose that that's not their priority, and B, may not have those avenues accessible to them, and they still should be focused on how to find purpose and deeper meaning such that they can be happy even if they don't achieve either or both of those things. I think that's a fair criticism. And I like a world.
No, pause. Like he might be about to say something good too, but like another thing that he's missing is that is what a lot of people want. Like the financial scarcity is the thing, the lack of connection, and because I love he rooted it not just in having a romantic partner, but having good friendships, having all of that, having community. Yes. But like the thing is that it's hard. You worked really hard, but you also got really lucky.
Yes.
I bet if we traced it, like the amount of things that are in place for him, like the opportunities, right, are just outrageous.
Even the time. And I've heard him talk about this in his podcast, that he made investments or started businesses at proper times where the economy was on an upswing in his industry. So he'll even acknowledge that there's a lot of luck involved with that.
Yes. And it's like, so somebody else could do the whole thing. I was leaving the building this morning and I saw a transit vehicle pull up, like, transit van. Yeah. I saw an older couple pull up and get out to deliver somebody's Chick-fil-A to them. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't normally do DoorDash in...
Might have been me.
You don't normally do DoorDash in a transit van.
Right.
That's not like a fuel efficient vehicle. Right. What that showed me, I was like, this couple, they probably like clean office buildings. Like that was the kind of vehicle that I normally see doing something like that. They probably been up all night cleaning office buildings, doing something like that. They got done. And now before they go home to finally get a couple hours of sleep, they said, hey, we're short. We got to make some more money, right, to do this. Yep. And they're out there and they were an older couple. They're probably in like their mid to late 60s. It's like, these people are working harder than he's ever worked in his life. I promise. And I know he's worked hard.
Absolutely.
But there might have been a period of time where he like outworked that. They've been doing that for the last 40 years or longer. And they're still going to have to keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways.
No, that's good.
And B, may not have those avenues accessible to them, and they still should be focused on how to find purpose and deeper meaning such that they can be happy even if they don't achieve either or both of those things. I think that's a fair criticism. And I like a world where, I'll give you an example. My elementary school principal, Mr. Eukelson, used to drive up in a 240Z, and he was this handsome man and really a nice man and wonderful to the kids, and used to come out and high-five us and play tetherball with us. And and he smelled nice, and he was a high school principal, and he just was like, he was my image, and I think the community's image of masculinity. And I don't think that's no longer the case. I think that, unfortunately, because America has become so driven on money, your healthcare is different, your mating selection set is different, your opportunities for influence, everything is just so driven by money now in the US. The life you can lead if you're wealthy is so extraordinary, and the life you lead is so awful if you don't have money, that I'm down for a world where we return to having greater respect for our military, the guy who gets up and works a solid 8 hours at a good job doesn't have to be a great job, a guy who's interesting and funny. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the world we live in any longer.
No, it's not.
That's
and
correct.
that men are disproportionately, especially young men, are disproportionately evaluated based on their economic viability. And I'm down for the world where character starts to override, where the most admired person is someone with high character, not someone worth $400 billion. So I'm down for that world. I just don't know if that's the world we live in. And I do stand by the notion that
that's not the world capitalism
in a
gives you.
capitalist society, you are going to be unfairly and disproportionately evaluated based on your economic viability. And I'm not suggesting you need to go to work for Goldman Sachs, but you need to have a plan. You need to have the discipline to spend less than you make, pursue certification, demonstrate grit,
people could just go work for Goldman Sachs.
At some point, you might be in a position, should you choose to, be able to support or at least be a large contributor to the family. And unfortunately, the world, potential mates, and probably most importantly, yourself, are going to be very harsh on you if you are not able to establish economic viability. The likelihood of divorce doubles when the woman in the relationship starts making more money than.
So I have to stop here because it's back to the same idea that I've heard since I read Capitalism Realism by Mark Fisher. You can't imagine this is the world and this is the way it is, and we have to just deal with it. Even though he acknowledges, he says, unfortunately, these are the circumstances that we live under. Yeah. There's no imagination for living under a separate set of circumstances. This is the world. It's easier. You just got to deal with it.
Easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. He doesn't even have a political imagination for it.
No, it's just the way it is. And unfortunately, it's gotten worse. Yes. It's going to continue to get worse. So what should we do about that? Well, you just got to figure it out, according to Scott. Yeah. People are going to evaluate you based on how much money you have. People are, your mating selection. Life is going to be harder for you if you don't make money. Yes, we agree. And even the person he lauded back in the day, who was a teacher who's probably making okay money and could sustain a family, they can't do that anymore. No. So there's a reason why that person doesn't have the same status, because they probably can't drive a nice car. They probably can't, in most parts of the U.S., afford the same sort of housing that the principal would have had back then. So there's reasons for this, but we can never get to the root cause, it seems.
Man, the use of ED drugs triples. And I think there is something to the notion that we need to recognize that women have borne the majority of the emotional labor at home and haven't been adequately compensated or recognized, and that modern masculinity needs to have some form of reward and celebration of modern masculinity. And at my last stop for the Pivot Tour, I got the opportunity to highlight two of my mentors who are role models for me. And one was my best friend's stepfather, who met my friend's mother when he was 23 and she was 30. They were in law school. She had 2 kids. They got married. They've been together 55 years. He was the ultimate kind of California stud, this super handsome guy, first guy that took me and Adam to go work out with weights, and then took us to this cool sushi place. And as his career grew, he was a great provider.
Super handsome.
The California dream of cars just kept getting better. He had a 240Z, then he had a Porsche 911, and he had the ultimate expression of masculinity and California dream and lifestyle, Ferrari. But for the last 12 years, he's been taking care of his wife of 55 years, who is struggling with pretty late stage dementia. And I think almost anyone I know would have decided to put her in an assisted living facility. And I'm not exaggerating it. This guy is just a full-time caregiver. And I think that we need to do a better job of incorporating that type of service into some form of masculinity.
Yes.
And that kind of emotional labor. And I need to choose the right words for it, because I don't even think it's like provider has to take on more dimension. So I mean, the honest truth is I still have work to do around this. And I think that's a valid criticism. The shit that pisses me off that's all over TikTok that just isn't accurate, and I can tell it's someone just wants me angry and draft off the algorithms, is when they start saying, here's another man that's blaming women.
Yeah, what's he about to say?
I just don't. If you read the book, I blame young men themselves that need to step up. Men my generation need to get more involved in their lives. Societal transfer of money from young to old, which is disproportionately.
Well, so
I agree. He blames young men mostly.
But the thing is, I don't think he's taking that critique seriously, because I've heard women say that he's blaming women, but he's not. They're not saying that he's telling women that they're the problem. He's saying that women need to be the ones to get into relationships with dysfunctional men to solve their problems. So it's an indirect way of blaming women.
Well, he also did just say that, like, when a woman starts making more money than a man, that his risk of offing himself goes up. All these other things. So
or women, if the woman makes more money than the man, their relationship dynamic changes, and women want this sort of man. So he is
like, but what that tells me is, like, dude, like what you just said there, that doesn't mean, like, that means that's a problem with the way men have been taught to understand their masculinity, that their reason for living goes away. And I understand that. Like, I feel that. Like, that's a real thing. Yeah. Like, you know, if your partner, your wife is making more money than you, I can understand that anxiety.
We're socialized.
But he should be talking about that then, about how like your identity isn't found, your masculinity is not gone based on how much money you make. I mean, he's talking about it a little bit, but like that should be the thing you're writing about. Yeah. Again, read some bell hooks, Scott. Like read some bell hooks and then come back and talk, because you're an amazing communicator. And, you know, you're like always a little close to making like some good points. You just need to read some more of the right material. And I promise you, if this dude read like The Will to Change or All About Love and took it seriously, I think his mind would be blown. Like he'd be like, oh my God. Right? So anyways.
What's up, guys? It's Joshua from Ask the Next Question. If you guys are really enjoying our show, we would love if you would leave a comment, if you would subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and let us know what you would like us to discuss in upcoming episodes. We really appreciate your guys' support, and we look forward to making more content for you.
Okay, so the next clip is from Joe Rogan, the GOAT.
The goat of what? I guess he's the pod goat.
The goat of making money saying nothing.
He's definitely the podcast goat, like it or not.
Yeah, he is. And, whatever. Joe Rogan, I probably like him if I was having a beer with him or whatever. He's like a decent dude or whatever in some ways. But he says the funniest, dumbest thing imaginable here. Like, when I started watching this clip, you have no idea where he's about to go with this.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
So let's just watch it. We'll react.
Okay.
That's the real one. And one of the weirder ones that people think this is a stupid take, but I don't care. Jesus was born out of a virgin mother. What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God, who better than artificial intelligence to do that? Wow. If Jesus does return, even if
I gotta stop it. What's more virgin than a computer?
What's more virgin than a computer? Bro, you gotta keep playing, because like I promise you, it just like
I was waiting for him to go somewhere.
You don't even want to comment yet, because it's about like you're not even ready.
I'm not ready. Okay, all right.
Jesus was a physical person in the past. You don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus. Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation, water into wine.
If you combine Tesla's Optimus robot and the best foundational artificial intelligence model or whatever.
This is not satire.
No. That's basically it.
They're dead serious.
They're dead serious. Yeah. And I just love the other guy being like, "Oh, that's good." Yeah.
No.
Bro, okay, it's just also so funny, like, because I know he doesn't believe in Jesus or whatever. Although you get him around Jordan Peterson, he might pretend like he does or something. But he's like, what's more, Jesus was born of a virgin. What's more virgin than a computer? Jesus could come back as AI. Like, the dots here are crazy, but it's also like, no, him being human is literally the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he went away as a human in the story. Yes. He's still a human.
Yes.
So, like, what's going on? Like, it's so dumb on so many levels that it's brilliant.
I just don't even know. Did he take some ketamine before this? Is he on psilocybin or something? He looks like he was on something.
Bro, I love that he says he's been saying this to people, because he's like, people think this is crazy, and then he still thinks it's like worth. So he's like pitched this idea a number of times, which means he's been working on the pitch, and this is as good as it gets.
He's a stand-up comedian. This would be a great stand-up skit. Just get up there and say that, people will be dying laughing. I think he's had too many crazy people on his podcast that have said so many dumb things over the past 20 years that I don't think he had his meter for what's stupid is not. It's off.
It's broken.
It's broken. Like he says something that sounds crazy, but shit, you probably somebody said something crazy on his podcast last week.
Bro, like it's just also so funny because it's so dumb, and like, but there are serious ways that you could respond to that. Like, you could get into Christology and actually talk about like why that doesn't make any sense, but you really can't dignify it with that kind of a response. So it's just hilarious.
Oh my God, that's a great one, bro. Yeah.
You didn't see that coming.
That's crazy. All right, so we got The Diary of a CEO now. This is a podcast that I see clips of all the time on social media. I feel like he has people from experts from every corner of every industry and every perspective that come on and say contradictory things. So
yeah, exactly.
He just sits there and nods his head. And
he just gets to be open-minded about like the broad, And again, another guy, he seems like a nice dude.
Guy. I like Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah,
Ruslan. You said you like Ruslan. I'm like,
he seems like a chill dude. Like he's a dad. I just try to think about. I know a lot of people that I'm cool with that like think exactly like him. So I try to not always hold people's like opinions about everything against them. Yeah. Like, if our kids went to daycare together, we were hanging out as dads, like we'd find a way to be chill. You know what I mean? If we went to college together and I used to think like him on almost everything, and we stayed cool, it'd be chill.
I feel you. All right, let's listen to this.
So ChatGPT kind of set off the starting pistol for this whole race.
Yes.
And subsequently, it appears that every other major technology company now is investing ungodly amounts of money in competing in this AI race, and they're pursuing this thing called AGI, which we hear this word used a lot.
Yes.
What is AGI, and how is that different from what I use at the moment on ChatGPT or Gemini?
Yeah. So that's the thing that people really need to get, is that these companies are not racing to provide a chatbot to users. That's not what their goal is. If you look at the mission statement on OpenAI's website, or all the websites, their mission is to be able to replace all forms of human economic labor in the economy, meaning an AI that can do all.
I'm gonna pause it. So I think there's an interesting conversation that I'm noticing on social media, particularly with people on the left. And I'm more agnostic. So he's saying that the AI companies are trying to build artificial general intelligence.
Right.
I think some people on the left think that all AI is just marketing. It's not good. It can't really do anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's a waste. And so like this conversation that he's having, and that the CEOs are allegedly having, that they're going to try to automate all cognitive labor, is something I think leftists should care about. But I hear way more leftists talking about how AI is not good and it's a waste of money and it's a waste of the environment, there's truth to that.
Sure.
That they're missing this part of the conversation. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. Well, what part?
Well, what do you think about the idea that a leftist should care that automation is going to wipe out white collar work?
Well, yeah. Leftists that don't think that that's going to happen are just, I don't know, they're out of their mind.
I literally I don't see them talking like this is something that could happen.
It's going to happen.
My algorithm.
Yeah, and not necessarily because AI can do the whole job on its own, but because as a tool, it just makes the employees so much more efficient, so they don't need as many employees.
Yeah.
And so, you might still have a human doing most of the work, but if the human can have AGI running a bunch of different tasks, and then all it has to do is check them,
exactly.
It doesn't have to do all the legwork, then that eliminates the need for like a bunch of employees. So yeah, I think people that don't think about that are, they're really missing something for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
The cognitive labor, meaning labor of the mind. So that can be marketing, that can be text, that can be illustration, that can be video production, that can be code production. Everything that a person can do with their brain, these companies are racing to build that. That is artificial general intelligence. General meaning all kinds of cognitive tasks. Demis Hassabis, the co-founder of Google DeepMind, used to say, first solve intelligence and then use that to solve everything else. Like, it's important to say, why is AI distinct from all other kinds of technologies? It's because if I make an advance in one field like rocketry, let's say I uncover some secret in rocketry, that doesn't advance like biomedicine knowledge, or doesn't advance energy production, or doesn't advance coding. But if I can advance generalized intelligence, think about all science and technology development over the course of all human history. So science and technology is all done by humans thinking and working out problems in any domain. So if I automate intelligence, I'm suddenly going to get an explosion of all scientific and technological development everywhere. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah, it's foundational to everything.
Exactly. Which is why there's a belief that if I get there first and can automate generalized intelligence, I can own the world economy, because suddenly everything that a human can do that they would be paid to do in a job, the AI can do that better. And so if I'm a company, do I want to pay the human who has healthcare, might whistleblow, complains, has to sleep, has sick days, has family issues.
Well, I mean, the accelerationists are going to have a field day with this one, because at the end of the day, if they do that, then, and my understanding is actually that technically the cost, the expense of running AGI, of doing that, would be so high that it would need to be one company that essentially has the whole market.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Honestly, I feel like the industry is it's in flux, because there's some people that think what the current paradigm of scaling models and just training them on more and more data, building larger and larger data sets is going to be the thing that takes us to AGI. But there's also folks who believe that that's not going to work. And they're going to need to have some sort of algorithmic innovation that will allow the models to be more efficient. But with that algorithm adjustment, they'll be able to be much more intelligent. They'll be able to teach themselves. So there's from my understanding, there's people who believe different things across the industry about what it's going to take to get to this AGI goal. But the goal is clear. They want to do what he's saying, which is automate all human labor. And that being, I think that should be the only thing that we're talking about when it comes to AI, because it's the most important thing. If they can do that, if that happens in 10 years, we have 10 years to figure out how we're going to end capitalism. Because once that time comes up and there's no more humans that are needed in the conversation between labor and capital, how do you organize a labor movement?
Yeah. Well, what did Tupac say? The poor are going to rise up and eat the rich.
Yeah.
The earth is going to open up and swallow them up. At a certain point, you make people angry enough, it'll just become impossible. Those people won't be able to survive.
Unless they got infinite number of AI robots that are guarding them.
I mean, bro, so okay, I went to, there's a bagel shop not far from here around the corner.
Yeah.
And I was standing in line there one Sunday last winter with the boys. So I got the stroller. I got my 1-year-old at the time and my 3-year-old. And the line is down the street.
Yep.
It's one of these places where we got 2 bagel sandwiches and 2 bagels, and it was $60. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was I was like, huh? But it was new. It was an open place, and we wanted to go check it out. I didn't know what it was going to cost. And as we're waiting in line, it's freezing outside. The line is out the door. There is a person that comes up to me who is asking for money, and he's been asking people. And when he comes up to me, I say, and I honestly just people probably don't like this, because there's people that are who are you to say no to people? But where we live, if we gave money we can't give money to every single person to ask us. I get hit up 10 times a day. Yep. You know what I mean? And if I have freedom of time, I will buy somebody food. Yeah. So I offer to buy him some food. I don't have any cash on me. Yeah. I don't carry cash. But he got really aggressive. Yeah. And he was like, I didn't ask for food. I asked for cash. And I was looking at this guy. He didn't look like he'd been on the streets for very long, if he even is on the streets. He still had a lot of meat on his bones and a lot of strength, and was clean. And I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, this is not someone who is institutionalized into the kind of poverty that makes you beg for food. This is somebody who's used to having the money to buy the food, who is very, very angry that they're in this position, and some douchebag who's waiting in line for a $60 bagel is, telling him that he's not going to give him money, but he'll buy him a bagel. And he ended up going inside before me. He ended up just going in. And by the time I get in, there's people there that are work at the bagel shop. It's packed in there. He's being belligerent. They're trying to kick him out. And it was a very tense situation. And he's threatening this girl. And she's saying she's going to call the cops. And I just tell her, stop saying you're going to call the cops. Just do whatever you're going to do. But I have my children here. Stop elevating. Just either leave them alone or do what you're going to do. And it just got real tense for a minute. And I thought first, I thought of that Tupac interview that I just said. It's actually at the end of To Pimp a Butterfly. And it just came to mind. And I was like, it's going to get really dangerous around here for these people like the Scott Galloways, for the AI people, and just for the bougie, the petite bourgeois, PC, what do you call it, professional managerial class type people who are just used to things being okay, because when enough people get hungry enough,
absolutely, yeah,
and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's kind of we're on the path to that reality, and it's just a matter of when the pain will get strong enough for us to rise up and do something about it. It sounds crazy, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to go a little bit further into this conversation. But the thing that it's hard for me to wrap my mind around is that this is the stated goal. And we live in a free society, in a free country, but we didn't have any say in 6 men in Silicon Valley deciding that they're going to try to automate all of our jobs.
That's right. Yeah.
Away.
Where's the freedom?
Where's the freedom in that?
Yeah. Got a aisle full of cereal options.
Absolutely.
Free to choose.
But having a job in 10 years, you don't get to choose that.
No.
Or do I want to pay the AI that will work 24/7 at superhuman speed, doesn't complain, doesn't whistleblow, doesn't have to be paid for healthcare? There's the incentive for everyone to move to paying for AIs rather than paying humans. And so AGI, artificial general intelligence, is more transformative than any other kind of technology that we've ever had. And it's distinct.
With the sheer amount of money being invested into it, and the money being invested into the infrastructure, the physical data centers, the chips, the compute, do you think we're going to get there? Do you think we're going to get to AGI?
I do think that we're going to get there. It's not clear how long it will take. And I'm not saying that because I believe necessarily the current paradigm that we're building on will take us there. But, I'm based in San Francisco. I talk to people at the AI labs. Half these people are friends of mine, people at the very top level. And, most people in the industry believe that they'll get there.
Okay, do it, but then you get nationalized.
Yes.
That's how I feel like.
I like that.
If you want to do that, that's fine. Yep. Your company gets nationalized and all the profits are paid out as dividends to the people, or they go into the fund to actually help pay out a universal basic income or something like that. If you want to eliminate all the jobs, then you eliminate your profit.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah. And that I think that's one of the solutions that we have to fight for. And this is what people need to be talking about today. Yeah. Because whether it happens in 5 years or 15
you're right,
years,
bro.
we don't have enough time. We have, say it takes 20 years. That's what, 4 or 5 election cycles?
Yeah.
It's not going to take 20 years, in my opinion. But even if it does, we have to start talking about this conversation right now, because it takes time to get a movement to put pressure on the politicians to do something about this and to preempt what's happening, because once it gets past a certain point, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it.
It's that guy, I think his name's something Godfrey, they call him the godfather of AI. Mm-hmm. He's in that interview where he's like, it's gonna eliminate all jobs, no one's gonna work. And the guy in the interviewer's like, so what's the solution? And he goes, socialism. That guy goes, really? You think so socialism is the only thing that can save us from this? And he goes, yep. That was all he said. It's damn.
I mean, this is a perfect object lesson for capitalism, what he just explained. I was listening to Capitalism for Normal People, I think is the book. Maybe that's not the title. We can put it in the show notes if we need to. But they were explaining how capitalism is not about evil individuals necessarily. It's just about a system that's run amok. And nobody has control of the system. We can't, the companies are literally in this situation where if they don't follow the logic of capitalism, they'll go out of business. Like you said, if Walmart is in competition with Target and Walmart is automating all of their employees and Target isn't, Target's just going to go out of business.
Right.
Whether they believe it's the right thing to do or not, they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's either you do what...
The logic of capitalism is not the most efficient thing, is not the best thing for people, it's the best thing to take all of the money and put it in the hands of fewer and fewer people.
And grow and make profit at all costs. Whatever that means. If that means AI, they have to do it.
Yeah.
And because AI is now the new thing to increase profits, there's no choice. If we don't stop and change the system, this is what's going to happen.
I love, Oscar Wilde, his essay, The Soul of Man Under Socialism. That's basically all the way back then, Oscar Wilde was like, someday the machines will get good enough that they'll do all of the backbreaking labor that humans currently have to toil under. And we will take the profits from that work and we'll pay people money for work that they no longer have to do, and men can then fish and write poetry and hunt and do whatever they want to do. Great. Write, make music. It's crazy because it's that we maybe could have a world similar, close to that.
Absolutely.
That's kind of where we're on the verge of, and I think that's what there's an accelerationist right and an accelerationist left. I think that's what the accelerationist left is the idea is things are going to get bad enough and AI is going to really boost that.
Yes.
I think I saw something like that on a Joshua Cicerella podcast on his podcast. Doom Scroll, great podcast.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I mean, maybe we're there. Maybe like this is the catalyzing thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that it would be.
Yeah.
But then there's
Because what else are you going to do?
Yeah. There's also the conversation that we don't have to get into at this time, maybe another time, around the existential risk of AI. So not only do we have 6 guys that are determining whether everybody's going to have a job in 5 to 20 years, they're also all talking amongst themselves saying that there's a 5 to 10% risk that AI goes out of control and kills all humanity.
Yeah, crazy.
Like, it sounds crazy, but he explains, like Tristan Harris, he's like, I have friends that are these CEOs.
Yeah.
They genuinely believe this and they're doing it anyway. Like, that's the insane world that we live in. We don't have freedom when you have 5 people that say, I'm going to build something that has a 10% chance to kill all of humanity.
Yeah.
I'm going to build it anyways because I just want to see what happens.
Yes.
Even if that's not going to happen and that's impossible, the fact that they're doing it shows how insane our society is.
100%.
And the last thing I'll say on this topic, and I think we've talked about China a little bit in the past, and Tristan Harris makes this point in that episode, which I think is really important, that AI companies in America will say we have to race in an uncontrolled or unsafe manner to build this AI, super AGI system, because if we don't do it, China will do it. And Tristan Harris says, if China builds an uncontrollable AI system and we build an uncontrollable AI system, we're both in the same position. We can't control it to compete with the other person.
Right.
The AI is in control of us. We're not in control of it.
Right.
So the wise thing to do would be to build a system that's safe, that we can control, because then we can use it for whatever ends we want to use it for.
Because by the way, like that is actually how China like does develop things a lot more safe. Like even with like the car batteries that we chose, like America chose to like get to market and beat China. So they chose a kind of car battery that was cheaper to do, but like less efficient and more dangerous. And China chose one that, was more expensive. So it took longer to develop, but it's just a better battery. And now they're just smoking America. They actually think long-term about stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know people are going to fry us in the comments for our commentary about AI. Everybody has so many different perspectives. They're going to say AI is never going to get that powerful. You guys are stupid. Or some people say it's actually too late. We're already past the point of no return. So
it doesn't have to get that powerful. It's like I said earlier, it just has to get powerful enough to make every employee significantly more efficient. And then it's going to be the same thing. If companies just hire a tenth of the people that they used to hire because they have these tools that make them more efficient, everyone's still going to not be able to buy bread.
We're pretty much already there. It's just a matter of implementation in my opinion.
And especially now, like I said earlier in the thing, like DoorDash is even going away. Like we got robots in our neighborhood delivering food.
Self-driving cars are going to start replacing Uber drivers. So it doesn't take much for us to be in a crisis situation. We already are in a pretty bad economic situation in America to begin with. So it's great news. We're going to leave you off with some optimism.
I love it.
But yeah. All right, guys. Well, let us know what you think about this new format. If you like it, let us know. We will try it again. It was fun doing it. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Leave us a review if you're on Spotify or another podcast platform. And we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.